Hey y'all, it's Deb. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 12 things that you need to teach your children before they move out on their own. Now, this is not going to be a complete list of everything. I'm sure that maybe there are things that you think are important that I may leave out, but we have an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old, and these are the things that we've noticed that they already know, or Adam and I need to sort of amp it up before they move out. So this is something that's like really at the tip of our brains right now. Hopefully this will be helpful for you. Of course, the first thing I'm going to mention is that we need to teach our children how to budget. Now, there are several different ways that you can go about doing this. I'm going to share with you the method that we chose. So when our children reach about the age of 8, we let them do extra chores over and beyond what they already do, like helping me clean out and wash my car, helping Adam with yard work, doing bigger jobs like mopping the entire house or vacuuming the whole house or vacuuming out the furniture, going over and beyond their normal chores around the house. So in our home, they are expected to do their own laundry, washing, putting it in the dryer, folding it. By age 8 or 9, all of mine were independently doing their own sheets, their own towels, and all of their own laundry. That's just because they live in our house. They're expected to do the dishes, help me sweep the floors, pick up their room. That's just because they live here. But if they choose to work harder and go over and above that, over and beyond, above and beyond, if they choose to do that, we wanted to pay them. Why? It's a great way to teach them how to save, give, and budget at a very early age. Personally, my opinion, I don't think that's something that's good for them to learn the first time that they're 16 or 18 or 22 and they get their first real world job. They need to already have this stuff in their brain before they get to that point. Also, when they're little and they're young like that, this is a great time to teach them that the world doesn't revolve around them. It's important to give back to other people, save for something they want to buy maybe in 6 months. Doing all these things really helps them get in the right mindset before they start earning a lot of money. Now, there's a joke that I've seen going around the internet, and Adam and I do this as well. Sometimes when our kids were little and they got candy or they got paid for something big, we would take a little bit of it with them, made it a joke, made sure that their feelings weren't being hurt. It kind of teaches them about taxes really, really early. And it's become a joke in our house. So if our children start earning money around 8 or 9 years old, and then in our home, when they turn 16, they get a real job, they already understand that the government is going to take part of their paycheck even when we don't like it, or even when we don't agree what they're using that money for. But this is one of those real things in life that they need to understand. Now, let me say this. Let's say that you have a child who's 17 or 18 and you kind of missed the boat on these things that I'm going to talk about. It's okay. It's all right. If you missed the boat on it, we haven't done everything perfectly either. It's all right. Maybe just start where you can. Sit your 18-year-old down and say, my bad. We kind of screwed this up. Let's help you walk through what your life is going to look like with your money. What are some of the categories that you need to start budgeting for, or you need to start thinking about as you become an adult? It's okay if you haven't done this as a parent. We haven't done everything right either. This is just supposed to be helpful. When it comes to helping your young adult understand how to budget for categories, you want to help them remember car maintenance, your food, your cell phone bill. These smaller categories for them are really going to help them remember, if I make $500 this month, I can't just go spend $500. I need savings, I need to give, and I need to budget for the things that are coming along the way. This is going to help instill in your adult child, that's weird. It's going to help them to understand delayed gratification, which is really, really, really important for them to be successful and avoid debt. The second thing that I would make sure that they knew at least a little bit about, and this is gender neutral. This has nothing to do with guys or girls, gender neutral. My dad did it with me. We intend to do it with all 3 of our children. They need to understand car maintenance, even the small little things, how to check the air in their tires, how to check their oil level, and how to change a tire or how to put a spare on if they're in an emergency. Even teaching them these minor things about their car is going to help them feel more independent. It's going to help them feel like if I have a car emergency, I know exactly what to do. Also, it's going to help them avoid being taken advantage of when they go to a car shop. This is like real adult stuff that they need to know before they move out. And in our opinion, they need to know these things when they get their driver's license. So in our home, before they even go take their test, this is stuff that we go over and over and over and make sure they understand before they ever get independent on the road by themselves. Related to that, number 3 on my list is how to handle emergencies. This is a hard one because you don't want to instill fear in your children and you don't want them to constantly be worrying about what's going to happen. And a great way to combat that is that they know exactly what to do in an emergency. So we all know, especially if you grew up in the 80s, we were taught stop, drop, and roll, what to do in a tornado, what to do in a fire, how to prepare for a hurricane. Like I'm from North Carolina, from the coast. So we grew up learning how to prepare and how to handle emergencies. It's the same thing for your children. They need to know how to dial 911, how to talk to a firefighter, preparing them to understand that firefighters may look scary because they've got their uniform on and their face is covered, how to talk to an EMT person, like if you call 911, mommy's not feeling good or mommy can't wake up. EMT person or a police officer comes to the front door. How does your 10-year-old talk to them? What do they say? This goes all the way to, we just had this conversation with our 17 and 18-year-old this past week. What to do when you're in a fender bender, what to do when you're in a small minor car accident, who do you call, what do you say, how do you handle it, passing off your driver's license, getting the other person's car insurance information. All of these scenarios of how to teach your child how to handle emergencies. And let me tell you, the day is probably going to come when some of this information is going to be helpful. Now, hopefully your child never has to call 911, but when I was 13, this was a long time ago, so it was okay to do this, and I'm from a very small town. I was babysitting a child. I had to call 911. Thank God my parents and my teachers taught me how to talk to the police officer and how to handle an emergency. Hopefully things like that won't happen, but when you arm your child, whether they're young or whether they're nearly grown, when you arm them with what to do, how to handle it, and you just go over it and over it and over it like a script, they know exactly what to do. When the emotions are running high, your brain kind of kicks in because you've been practicing and you just run right through that script. And that's what happened when I called 911. So you really want to make sure that before your children move out, they know how to handle things. I mean, they're allowed to call you, absolutely. I would want my 18-year-old to call me, but sometimes they can't get a hold of me. They need to know exactly how to handle it on their own. The trash truck is going by, so it's going to be a little loud, but we're going to push right on through. Number 4 on my list, how to make doctors and dental appointments. This is a big one. I just had a conversation with the children's dentist yesterday. We were all at the dentist together, and they said they really appreciated it when parents taught their 16, 17, and 18-year-olds how to make their own appointments, how to talk to a nurse, how to talk to a doctor, getting over embarrassing symptoms or how you might be feeling, or bathroom habits, or when they're 8, 9, and 10, let's say that maybe they have a bedwetting issue, which is, it's okay, it's fine. But the last thing that you want to do is encourage your child to hide or feel embarrassed or not be honest with their doctor. They need to feel educated enough and confident enough to just even the embarrassing stuff. I mean, I'm 43. I've had 2 babies. I'm sure there are still things that I feel a little uncomfortable talking to my doctor about, but I will never lie. I will always tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Moms, dads, your children are going to pick up on that from you. Now, every child goes through the stage where they don't want to talk about things, they feel embarrassed. That is normal. What we want to do is help get them past that, help them, give them the vocabulary. Like, you don't want to go to the doctor and just say, oh, my stomach hurts. Help them figure out, where do you feel uncomfortable? Does it feel like pressure? Does it feel like sharp pain? Are you nauseous versus my stomach hurts? Sometimes children don't understand the difference between I feel like I might be sick or this is painful. We need to help give them that vocabulary. By the time they're 18, and we're still working on this with ours, so if you missed the boat, that's okay. Pick up where you can. You want to help give them the skill of describing how they're feeling on their own, making their appointments by themselves. They need to be able to figure out, I've got class at this time, I've got work at this time. Do I need to take off of work? Do I need to call my boss? Is this just a physical that I can schedule around all of that? Or is this an emergency? And after I schedule that emergency doctor's appointment, who are the people that I need to call so I don't get in trouble with with professors? I don't get in trouble with my boss at work. These are real life skills that a lot of young adults do not have. They think they can just miss work or miss class. My twin sister is a college professor. She will tell you that I'm right when I'm telling you. A lot of young adults do not have these skills. This is really, really important for them. Number 5 on my list is how to dress appropriately for certain occasions. Now, this is going to seem really shallow to some people. It's not. I'm telling you, there have been occasions where my 17 and 18-year-old have dressed themselves, like for a wedding or a funeral or a job interview, and they were so grateful that Adam and I had taught them what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what goes together, what colors look the best with their skin tone and their eye and hair color. They actually like that. How to dress. Our children are not dating yet, but we've already talked to them about what's appropriate on this kind of a date versus this kind of a date, depending on where you want to take her or what you two are doing, who's coming with you, is it a group thing or single, whatever. We've already had these conversations of what looks good on them, what doesn't look good, what goes together. They have actually come to us later and said, thank you so much for teaching me how to do this. And now they can totally do it on their own. And this would include things like job interviews, funerals, different types of weddings. What event are they going to? This also goes into how to prepare if they need to bring clothes to change into. What do they need to go with that? Like certain types of shoes? Do they need to bring their shower things? I know this doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. This is something they should know way before they move out of your home. Along with that, the next one on my list is how to teach your children to do their own laundry. I say it that way because a lot of the times moms don't want to teach their children how to do their laundry, and I know this is going to sound insane, but I've heard my friends say it. It makes me feel so good when my children need me. Well, that's a little bit selfish on your part. Let's not do that. We don't want to cripple our children because we feel needed and it makes us feel good. That is not truly loving them. So I might go a little Southern mama on you and say the truth in love, but that's the truth in love. So let's not cripple our children. Let's set them up to be independent on their own. And I'm not saying this to be snotty, like I don't want to do my kids' laundry. This is to help them. So in our home, by the time you turn 10, you do all of your own laundry start to finish. You know what gets hung up, what goes in the dryer, temperature controls, how much detergent. They know how to do their own sheets. They do their own towels. They know exactly how often to change their sheets, switching out their towels. They handle all of that. And again, it's not because I don't want to serve my children. I do love serving my children, but that's not good for them to take all those skills away and do it myself just because it makes me feel good. We don't want to do that. So by the time they're 10 in my house, they've done all that. Now, let's say that you have a 17-year-old and they have no clue how to do their own laundry. You haven't lost time. Start now. Start with the simple, cold, darks, everything goes in the dryer. Start with that. But by the time they are out on their own, either in an apartment or in a dorm room, they should not be calling you going, I don't know how to wash my pants, or I'm going to come home in 2 weeks and I'm bringing all my laundry. They should be able to do that on their own. Number 7, tying in with the laundry, how to properly clean a home. Now, you can look around and see that my home does not look perfect. It is not perfectly clean all the time. Nope, nope, nope. But my children know how to clean a bathroom, every part of the bathroom, all 3 of them. They know how to properly clean a floor, vacuuming out the furniture. They know how to dust. They know how to clean windows. They know how to load a dishwasher properly. They also know how to hand wash dishes. We have taught them what goes in the dishwasher and what doesn't. So things like coffee mugs with special paint on it that you don't want to get ruined. Cast iron would never go in a dishwasher. I know these things sound like common sense stuff, but it's not. These are skills that are learned and they need to be taught. Number 8, simple cooking skills. Now, when your children move out, they don't need to know how to do a 5-course meal. They don't need, to know how to make the world's best pecan pie, although I gotta say that'd be pretty awesome. They do need to have basic knowledge of the kitchen. So we've taught ours how to use an Instant Pot, how to use cast iron and take care of it. Different temperature controls in the oven based on what you're cooking. If a recipe says bake the cookies for 12 minutes, but you happen to have an oven that runs hot and it's only going to take 8, how do you pull something out and tell that it's done? How do you know that it needs 2 more minutes? Just these basic cooking skills. So these are some of the meals that my boys, we're starting with Elizabeth, she's only 10, but the boys can basically do these on their own. Instant Pot pasta, mac and cheese, how to scramble eggs. I know this sounds really simple and basic, but just hang on. How to make rice, how to make toast without burning it. They know how to make muffins. They know how to make pancakes. Even though these food items are, they're not the most elaborate, they could move out, get an apartment, stock their kitchen, and because of their basic recipe reading skills and how to interpret what that stuff means, your dry ingredients and then your wet ingredients, then bringing that together, because they know these things, especially now that we have YouTube and Pinterest and all that, they could take a basic recipe of what they want to make and they could follow that and make it on their own, even if it's not a recipe that I have taught them. You want to teach your young adults how to cook. And let me say this before I move on to the next one. A lot of these things that we're talking about teaching your children tie into how to avoid debt and how to budget really well. If you teach them how to take care of their clothes, how to take care of their car and their home, and how to cook on their own, they won't be wasting money on things that they shouldn't be wasting their money on. You're setting them up to help avoid debt. That is huge. All right, this is going to be a really, really teeny tiny one compared to all the other things that we've talked about. But for your boys, teach them how to tie a tie. I have a picture of a couple years ago of Adam helping our boys prepare for a formal, and he is teaching them how to tie a tie. And every time I see that picture, it makes me tear up a little. I don't know why. Call it hormones, whatever you want. It is two of the most precious pictures that I have. It's like watching my husband usher my boys into manhood. It is the most precious thing in the world. I love those pictures. So even if you need to get on YouTube, and that's okay, I don't know how to tie a tie, so if Adam weren't around, I'd be YouTubing it and sitting them down and teaching them how to do it. Teach your boys how to tie a tie. The next one on my list, yard maintenance. Teach your children how to pull weeds, how to tell between maybe vegetables or flowers that they planted versus the weeds. So teach them what that looks like. Trimming hedges, what is it called? Trimming the sidewalk, the grass on the sidewalk. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know the word, but I have mom brain, I can't think of it. You know what I'm saying. Teach them how to do that, how to mow their yard, how to care for their lawn. If they're trying to grow food, how to do that, which plants need fertilizers and which ones are more hardy and don't. If you teach them these things, number one, they're going to take really good care of their future yard. But number two, it's going to save them money because now they don't have to hire somebody else to do it. Teach your children yard maintenance. Okay, switching gears a little bit. This is a big one, especially in the world that we live in now. Parents, make sure you teach your children how to professionally write an email and a text message. There have been so many times where my boys, because they both have their own jobs, they've had to reach their boss or call in sick or something really important like that. They need to understand that they cannot talk to them the way that they would their buddies. So they can't write a text message that's like, yo, I don't feel so good. I can't be coming into work today. That okay? I mean, my children would not do that because we've taught them better than that. But you know what I'm saying? I have seen some text messages and emails from teenagers that are just not appropriate. So let's make sure we teach them how to talk to other adults, especially an adult that is an authority over them. Their professors, their bosses, how to speak in an interview. And listen, it's going to be hard for them because they're not used to that. They're used to talking to their friends the way, using the slang that they do. That's the only thing that they know. So I would pull out their phone or get on the phone with them and just pretend. It's the same thing that we were talking about with teaching your little ones how to dial 911. You kind of want to practice it over and over and over and over. Give them a script so that when they need to do these things, it's kind of already in there. I'm telling you, it'll come in handy. And this includes things like emails where, they missed work and they need to, whether or not their boss is requiring a doctor's note for it to be excused so they don't get in trouble or they don't get written up, or they can take the exam that they missed, things like that. Teach your children how to talk professionally. We're almost done. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I know this is a long one, but this is such great information. Make sure you teach your children simple home care. What do I mean by that? Changing batteries in smoke detectors, how to change light bulbs, how to buy the light bulbs that they need, what to look for in the store. Often when Adam is doing simple home repairs, he will call the boys over. Watch me do this. Why am I doing it this way? What materials do I need? What's the best place to buy them? Should I go to Home Depot or should I buy them on Amazon? How do I know what I'm looking for? Now I say he does this with the boys because they're older. As Elizabeth gets older, he will do the same things with her. When I was growing up and I was a teenager, my dad did the same thing with me. It's not a boy-girl thing. It's an age-appropriate thing. Some home repairs that Adam has to work on are not appropriate for Elizabeth to be around. It's not safe for her. So as soon as she gets, I would say 13, 14, Adam will start pulling her in with him and showing her how to do this stuff. Again, this will often help your children avoid hiring a professional. What to do when your dishwasher won't work, or your oven won't turn on, or something's wrong with your freezer. Any kind of like plumbing or whatever. And I know we don't all know how to do that stuff, but with the availability of YouTube, a lot of times we can figure out these small things on our own. Make sure you pull your children in with you and let them watch you do it. The last one on my list, and in our opinion is the most important, before our children leave the nest and get out on their own, we make sure that they have read the Bible all the way through at least once. We are not perfect parents. We have screwed up more times than I can tell you. And we have a joke in our house. When you turn 18, I will pay for your therapy, because I'm pretty sure you're screwed up because of Adam and I. You are parented by imperfect people, and the byproduct of that is that you're probably going to be a little bit screwed up, and that's okay. One of the things we feel that will be the most helpful for you, though, is to read the Bible all the way through. If you're going to follow Jesus the rest of your life, you probably should know who he is, what he stood for, what's important to him, what he values, and what he doesn't like. If that's going to be what you're going to model your life after, you should probably know everything there is to know about him and who he is. So we have our children read the Bible at least once all the way through before they turn 18. We started this when the boys were about 13. They've read the Bible through several times now, which I'm so proud of them. It's so great. Libby has read through the Bible once at least. She's working on either her second or her third. I can't remember. I'm going to have to ask her about that. So let me answer a question that I get all the time, okay? Deb, how do you feel about Libby, she's 10, reading the Bible all the way through when there are topics in there that are sensitive or maybe you feel like are not appropriate for her? and I get it. I felt the same way. Here's where we have landed on that issue. The Bible was written for every person. God said in the book of Deuteronomy, teach this to your children when you wake up, when you go to bed, when you're coming in and when you're going out, when you sit down to eat, which means teach this to your children all the time. I don't think there's any topic in the Bible that she cannot handle. Now, let me say this. She's going to come across a word like prostitute. Deb, how do you handle that when she comes to you and she says, Mommy, what's a prostitute? My mother taught me something that I will never forget, and I have taken it into my own parenting, and I say this to new moms all the time. When your child asks you a question that's difficult and possibly painful, you tell the truth, but you say it in a way that is age appropriate. Do our young children need to know everything within that topic of that word? No. So when they're young like that, we simply explain we live in a fallen world full of sin, and the consequences of living in a sinful world like that is that you are going to have topics like this. This is what the word means. God does not like it. That's why Jesus had to come and die to pay for our sin. And this is how he views the physical relationship within marriage. He created it and he loves it, and he created it for us to enjoy. So this is what he created, and this is how sin has tainted it. You can explain that to your 10-year-old in a way where they're not going to have nightmares about it. So age appropriate, give them only the information they asked for, and then explain why Jesus had to come in the first place. It's because we're all sinners. So it's been very, very wonderful seeing the development from the time our boys were 13 until now when they're 17 and 18. And they read the Bible on their own. We don't force it. We do encourage it. We don't force it. The benefit of who they are and where their faith is, because they're not just believing something that's coming out of mom's mouth. They are reading God's word on their own. So I know it's the last one on the list, but it's my favorite one. I highly encourage it. If you have never read the Bible on your own, I really, really, really want you to do it. It's so great. It's wonderful. God loves you. He sent his son to die for you. You can read all about it. There you go. If you've never read the Bible before, start with the book of John in the New Testament. You'll learn who Jesus is and why he had to come. So that wraps up the video for today. I hope this was helpful. If you missed the boat on teaching these skills to your children, it is not too late. If they're grown and they're on their own, maybe call them up and be like, yo, my bad. I should have taught you these things, but I didn't know. Maybe there are some young teenagers in your life, like at your church or in your neighborhood, that you could mentor. Like if you didn't teach these to your own children, maybe find some teenagers that you could mentor and teach them some of the things that you wish you knew when you moved out. I hope this was helpful. I hope y'all have a really great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.